Most English learners don't actually have just a language problem. The truth? A lot of learners are fighting many problems at the same time. Not just vocabulary, not just grammar, but also confidence, speaking habits, fear of mistakes, social pressure, bad learning methods, pronunciation, slow reactions, lack of real conversation experience, and sometimes not knowing what to say at all. And honestly, that is usually the biggest problem, because many learners already know a lot of words, a lot of grammar, even understand movies or YouTube videos. But when it's time to speak, brain equals empty. Someone asks, "How was your weekend?" And suddenly, how to say? Wait. Your brain starts translating, checking grammar, searching vocabulary, building perfect sentences. Way too slow. Real American conversations move fast. Native speakers are not building perfect textbook sentences in their heads. They react, automatically, naturally. That's why many learners speak too slowly, sound robotic, answer too short, don't know how to continue conversations, struggle with small talk, don't know how to ask follow-up questions, can't tell stories naturally, and don't know how to express emotions or reactions naturally. But here's the good news. This problem is very trainable, and the solution is usually not memorize more grammar. The real solution is train automatic speaking patterns, train real conversation habits, train reactions. For example, instead of translating, "I am very surprised," Americans usually say, "No way. Seriously? That's crazy. You're kidding." Short, fast, natural. Instead of trying to create sentences from zero every time, you train useful speaking chunks. And another huge secret, you do not need to sound perfect. You need to sound alive. American conversations are full of reactions, energy, feelings, small comments, follow-up questions, storytelling, and casual rhythm. So in this lesson, we're going to fix problem number 1, not knowing what to say, step by step, in a natural, fun, real American English way. No robot English, no textbook conversations, just real speaking practice that helps your brain react faster and speak more naturally.
Why you know English but can't speak. A lot of English learners have the same frustrating problem. You study vocabulary, you understand videos, you know grammar, but when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank. You suddenly can't say anything. And honestly, this happens to almost everyone, because the problem usually is not, "I don't know enough English." The real problem is, you trained your brain to recognize English, but not produce English. There's a huge difference. For example, when you hear, "I'm exhausted," you understand it immediately. But in real life, your brain still says, "I am very tired," or worse, nothing comes out at all. That's because passive English and active English are different skills. So how do we fix this? Step 1. Stop translating from your first language. This is one of the biggest problems. Many learners do this. Idea in their first language, translate, build grammar, then speak. But that process is way too slow for real conversations. Instead, train ready-made English reactions. For example, not, "How do I translate this?" but directly, "I'm exhausted." Not, "How do I say this correctly?" but "I don't get it." Train English to English thinking, not first language to English translation. Step 2, practice response chunks. Native speakers do not build every sentence word by word. They use chunks automatically, like, "That makes sense," "I'm not sure," "Honestly, I agree," "That's a good point," "I've never thought about that." These become automatic reactions, and automatic reactions create fluent speaking. So instead of memorizing thousands of random words, memorize useful speaking chunks. Step 3, repeat out loud. This part is critical. Silent studying is not enough. Your mouth needs training too. You need muscle memory, speaking rhythm, and automatic reactions. That only happens when you speak out loud.
even if you feel awkward. Honestly, especially if you feel awkward. Step 4. Use shadow speaking. This is one of the fastest methods for improving spoken English. Listen to natural English, then immediately copy the pronunciation, the rhythm, the emotion, and the pacing. Not just the words. The goal is not perfection. The goal is automatic speaking. That's why shadow speaking works so well. Step 5. Stop trying to sound perfect. Perfection kills fluency. A lot of learners freeze because they want perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, and perfect sentences. But real conversations move fast. Communication matters more than perfection. Simple English spoken confidently is much stronger than complicated English spoken nervously. Now let's practice some natural reactions. Listen first, then repeat. I'm still thinking. Now you say it. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. That makes sense. Now you say it. That makes sense. That makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. Now you say it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. Honestly, I forgot the word. Now you say it. Honestly, I forgot the word. Honestly, I forgot the word. And remember, fluent speakers are not thinking about grammar rules while talking. They trained automatic speaking patterns. That's the real secret. So if English disappears from your brain during conversations, you're not broken. You probably just need more speaking repetition, not more grammar study. Listen, repeat, relax, and slowly, your English will start coming out naturally.
Your mind goes blank when speaking English? Do you know what happens to a lot of English learners? They study for years. They know grammar, they know vocabulary, they understand YouTube videos. But then someone asks a simple question like, "So, what do you do?" Or, "What do you think about that?" And suddenly, their mind goes completely blank. Nothing comes out. If this happens to you, first of all, you are not bad at English. And honestly, this problem is way more common than people think. Because the issue usually is not, "I don't know enough English." The real problem is, your brain was trained to study English, not use English in real-time conversations. That's a huge difference. A lot of learners think fluent speakers are creating perfect sentences instantly, but actually, most fluent speakers are using simple, automatic speaking patterns. That's why they sound relaxed. Meanwhile, many learners are trying to translate, build grammar, search vocabulary, and sound perfect, all at the same time. Of course the brain freezes. That's too much pressure. So how do we fix this? Step 1. Stop trying to sound smart. This is one of the biggest reasons people freeze. When learners speak English, they often try to create perfect, long, impressive sentences. But real conversations are usually simple. For example, instead of saying, "From my perspective, the situation appears somewhat complicated," just say, "Honestly, it's complicated." Simple English is fast English, and fast English helps conversations keep moving. Step 2. Learn speaking starters. These are small phrases that buy your brain time. Native speakers use them constantly. Things like, "Honestly, well, that's a good question. I'm not really sure, but let me think for a second." These phrases are powerful because they reduce panic. For example, instead of freezing, you can say, "That's a good question." Now your brain has a few extra seconds to think. Conversation saved. Step 3. Stop translating from your first language. A lot of learners do this. Idea in first language, translate, build grammar, then speak. But real conversations move too fast for that process. Fluent speakers do not translate every sentence. They use automatic English reactions. For example, "I don't get it. That makes sense. I've never thought about that. I'm still thinking. Honestly, I agree." These become automatic with repetition, and automatic reactions create fluent speaking. Step 4. Practice speaking before you feel ready. This is extremely important. A lot of learners wait for confidence before speaking, but confidence usually comes after repetition.
not before. Think about driving. The first few times feel awkward, but after enough repetition, your brain stops panicking. English speaking works the same way. Step 5. Train your mouth, not just your brain. Many learners study silently for years, reading, watching, listening. But speaking is a physical skill too. Your mouth needs practice, your speaking rhythm needs practice, your reactions need practice. That only happens when you speak out loud. Even talking to yourself helps, especially shadow speaking. Listen to natural English, then immediately copy the pronunciation, the rhythm, the pacing, and the emotion, not just the words. This builds automatic speaking patterns. And honestly, automatic speaking is the real secret to fluency. Not perfect grammar, not fancy vocabulary, automatic reactions. Now let's practice a few natural speaking starters. Listen first, then repeat. Well, let me think. Now you say it. Well, let me think. Well, let me think. Well, let me think. That's a good question. Now you say it. That's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not really sure, but... Now you say it. I'm not really sure, but... I'm not really sure, but... I'm not really sure, but... Honestly, I've never thought about that before. Now you say it. Honestly, I've never thought about that before. Honestly, I've never thought about that before. And remember, fluent speakers are not always thinking faster than you. Usually, they just know how to keep the conversation moving. Listen, repeat, relax, and slowly, your English will stop disappearing during conversations.
How to stop translating in your head when speaking English. Do you ever feel like this? You understand English pretty well. You know vocabulary, you know grammar, you can even understand videos. But when it's time to speak, your brain suddenly becomes very slow. Why? Because your brain is doing this. First language, translate, build grammar, then speak. And honestly, that process is way too slow for real conversations. By the time you finish translating, the conversation already moved on. This is one of the biggest reasons English learners freeze while speaking. And the problem is not intelligence. The problem is habit. Most learners train themselves to translate instead of think in English. For example, maybe in your first language you think, I'm very tired today. Then your brain tries to find very tired, then build the sentence. But native speakers usually do not build English like a puzzle. They use ready-made patterns automatically, like I'm exhausted, fast, natural, automatic. That's the real difference. Fluent speakers are not translating every sentence. They trained automatic English reactions. And this is important. You do not need to think in perfect English. You just need to react in simple English. A lot of learners try to create complicated sentences. That creates stress, and stress slows the brain down even more. Instead, train simple speaking chunks. For example, instead of translating, I don't understand, train, I don't get it. Instead of, I am a little nervous, train, I'm kinda nervous. Instead of, I am still thinking, train, let me think. These small chunks are powerful because they become automatic, and automatic speaking creates fluency. So how do you actually stop translating? Step 1. Stop trying to say everything. This is a huge mistake. Many learners try to translate their full idea from their first language into English. That almost never works smoothly. Instead, simplify the message. Real conversations are usually simple. For example, instead of trying to say, because of the stressful environment and the amount of pressure, just say, it was really stressful. Simple English is real English. Step 2. Train English reactions directly, not vocabulary lists, not grammar rules, reactions. Like, really? No way. That makes sense. I'm not sure. Honestly, I agree. I've never thought about that. These are conversation tools, and the more you repeat them, the faster your brain reacts automatically. Step 3. Use shadow speaking. This method is extremely powerful. Listen to natural English, then immediately copy it. Not just the words. Copy the rhythm, the emotion, the speed, the pronunciation.
This helps your brain connect ideas directly to English sounds, without translation. Over time, your brain starts reacting in English naturally. And step 4, speak before you feel ready. A lot of learners wait for more vocabulary, better grammar, better pronunciation. But fluency does not come from waiting. It comes from repetition. Even broken English helps train speaking reflexes. Silence does not. And remember this, children learning language do not translate. They connect meaning directly to sounds. That's exactly what fluent English learners eventually do too. Now, let's practice a few natural reactions. Listen first, then repeat. I don't get it. Now you say it. I don't get it. I don't get it. That makes sense. Now you say it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Let me think. Now you say it. Let me think. Let me think. I've never thought about that before. Now you say it. I've never thought about that before. I've never thought about that before. And remember, fluent English is not fast translation. Fluent English is automatic reaction. The less you translate, the more naturally English starts coming out. Listen, repeat, relax, and slowly, your brain will stop translating and start speaking.
Why do you speak English so slowly? A lot of English learners think, my vocabulary is bad. But honestly, that's usually not the real problem. The real problem is your brain is working too hard while speaking. Many learners do this. Think in their first language, translate, check grammar, choose vocabulary, fix pronunciation, then finally speak. That's an enormous amount of work for the brain. No wonder speaking feels slow. And here's the important part. Native speakers do not build every sentence from zero. They use automatic speaking patterns. For example, when someone asks, "How was your day?" native speakers instantly say things like, "Pretty good," "Not bad," "Honestly, I'm exhausted," "It was kinda stressful," fast, automatic, natural. But many learners pause because they try to create the perfect sentence. That creates hesitation, and hesitation kills fluency. So how do we fix this? Step 1, stop trying to sound smart. Seriously, many learners think fluent English means long sentences, advanced vocabulary, perfect grammar. But real conversations are usually simple. Simple English spoken smoothly sounds much better than complicated English spoken slowly. Step 2, train ready-made speaking chunks. Not individual words, chunks. Like, to be honest, I'm not really sure. That's a good question. Let me think. It depends. I mean, these chunks help your brain continue speaking while thinking. That's exactly what native speakers do too. Step 3, practice speaking faster before trying to speak perfectly. A lot of learners pause too much because they're afraid of mistakes. But communication moves fast. You need rhythm. You need flow. You need speaking momentum. Fluency is not about never making mistakes. It's about continuing smoothly, even with small mistakes. Step 4, use shadow speaking. This is one of the best ways to improve speaking speed. Listen to natural English, then immediately repeat it. Copy the rhythm, the speed, the pauses, the emotion. Over time, your brain starts producing English faster automatically, without translating every word. And remember this, slow speaking is usually not a language problem. It's an overthinking problem. Now, let's practice a few natural fast reactions. Listen first, then repeat. Pretty good. Now you say it. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let me think. Now you say it. Let me think. Let me think. To be honest. Now you say it. To be honest. To be honest. It depends. Now you say it. It depends. It depends. And remember, fluent speakers are not always thinking faster. They just use more automatic English. Listen, repeat, speak. And slowly, your English will start coming out faster and more naturally.
And that's the end of today's lesson. Now, remember this. Fluent English is not about knowing the most grammar. It's about reacting faster, thinking less, and speaking more naturally. So don't worry if you still make mistakes. Even native speakers pause, change words, restart sentences, and say things imperfectly. That's normal. The goal is not perfect English. The goal is real communication. Little by little, your brain will stop translating and start reacting naturally in English. So keep listening, keep shadowing, keep speaking out loud. Even 10-15 minutes a day can slowly change the way you speak. And most importantly, don't stay silent. Because confidence grows through use, not through waiting. If you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe to English Learning Cafe for more real American English, storytelling practice, shadow speaking, and natural conversation training. And turn on the bell so your future English-speaking self will thank you later. See you in the next lesson.